What's up, everybody? My name's Corey Allen, and of course, this is the Overton Report. We are here today to do a really exciting interview with a local in the Low Country, Jonathan Whiting, and he's here to talk about some really cool stuff that's, in my opinion, desperately needed and entirely necessary in South Carolina and in the country as a whole. But first, the introduction. Hey, man, how are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Awesome. So I'm gonna open it up to you uh, with this short little introduction. So we all know that the arts, the cultural arts, painting, um, film production, music, uh, geez,
Literature.
literature, everything, poetry. I mean, we all know that leftist ideology acts kind of like a cancer throughout the cultural arts. And at the same time, we all are very aware that, or at least I am, from what I do. Maybe it's because of my profession that I meet a lot of very talented conservatives, that there are many conservative artists, conservative painters, conservative sculptors, and musicians, that a lot of them are basically canceled. The
Mhm,
arts is one of the places where cancel culture it began, and
mhm.
it's one of the places where it's the most effective. And
Yes.
you and your wife, John, who's an artist, and I see one of her amazing paintings behind you, and we'll talk
Yes.
more about that. Uh, you guys have decided to fight back in a productive, solution-oriented way, and I want you to tell us what you're trying to do right now.
Well, what we are doing is we have started an organization. It's only been going on for a little over a month now that we've started. And what it is it's an organization for conservatives who they're primarily for people who are in the profession of the cultural arts, um, artists, musicians, actors, writers, not just literary writers, but stage play writers, poets, like you said, sculptors, and even people who are in the associated professions with those. That means like book publishers, um, stage playwriters, um,
Editors,
editors and musicians and recording
producers.
studio owners, um, art gallery owners, um,
Okay.
so that they have a way to network with each other and to collaborate with each other. Also, hopefully, to eventually work to be able to have things like art shows and concerts and plays and things such as this that are put together and put out there into the world by and for conservatives and with conservatives, so that everybody can see that conservatives have been a part of the cultural arts throughout history.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
and but yet we have seen that the cultural arts are just rife with many times outright socialists, and conservatives have for the most part given up on the cultural arts.
And
They
we
just
and we're gonna talk a little bit deeper about that. But first, I want to let everybody know what the name of this is. This is the Conservative Cultural Arts Guild
yes,
that you've created. That's
yes.
right there. Um, I love the
And
shield, by the way. I love that.
yeah,
And the mission statement I'm reading here from your mission statement says that the CCAG, the Conservative Cultural Arts Guild, is an organization for American cultural artists to find expression and recognition while also networking with other conservative cultural artists in mutual fellowship, collaboration, and education. So I know that you and I have talked a little bit about like we mentioned earlier, your wife is an artist and an extremely talented artist. We actually we just purchased a piece of art from her, and it's I love it. Here, I'm gonna actually show people that right now in the as a graphic. So that's one of her pieces of art. You have a couple more. One is right behind
Yes.
you. And didn't you
Yes.
have one right there? I want to talk about can you show us the other one, one of the
I brought several of them here.
okay.
Um, and I'll take just for instance this one right here. Let me get it in the
Oof.
screen. And what it is it may seem like it's just a simple starfish.
Looks like a
Okay, that's
photograph. That's talent.
yes. Emily is she's a realist. I like to call her a realist with surrealist leanings. Um,
Okay.
and you just see a simple starfish here, but if you look at it, you see that all of the dots, the little bumps that you would see on a starfish,
Mm-hmm.
are actually um, in nature. Things like this are laid out on a Fibonacci sequence. So it's a mathematic sequence.
Yeah.
And so when she painted this starfish, she actually got a special measuring tool to ensure that each one of those little cross sections that you see on the starfish
Follow the
are
Fibonacci
done
sequence.
exactly on the Fibonacci sequence. And the flowers that you see on along the side over here are actually this starfish and these flowers are ones that we would see down here at Edisto Beach, and the flower petals are actually also on a Fibonacci sequence.
Right. They're an
And this
extension
shows
of it.
yes, and what this shows is that the Fibonacci sequence is something that you see everywhere in nature,
Mm-hmm.
and artists in times past have also used to set up their canvases so that they are on a ratio of the Fibonacci sequence, what's called the golden ratio,
Mm-hmm.
and that even in the simplest things in nature, that order is there. It's always there in everything that you see, and that's one of the things that she does and she shows in much of her work.
So the reason that I wanted to bring this up, like she is a high quality professional trained artist and obviously extremely talented. But a couple of weeks ago, we briefly spoke about this, and this is part of what led me, well, it's part of what led me to want to bring this to the attention of the public, but it's also part of the reason that you guys decided to create this guild in the first place. She has been featured in galleries all over the Southeast, and
Yes.
when apparently at some point her conservative leanings got out, and that had an effect on galleries being browbeaten into refusing to continue showing her work. Is that right?
I think what more happened is that um, the art world has moved away from anything that is of any kind of a traditional or any kind of anything that would inspire or catch the eye of any kind of conservative minded person.
Okay.
When you go into galleries and such now, you look around and you see um, very stale, very similar art to what you would see in any other gallery.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the realist type artwork that was so sought after in the past is just non-existent.
Right.
And so what we started seeing was is that as we started looking for galleries to represent her work, we would talk to the people at the gallery, we would contact them, and they would want to see, of course, her professional website, and then they would ask to see her social media sites. And
Okay.
then what they started doing was they started asking us for her personal social media. And
Right, because there
then
has to be a story. As far as these new age galleries, it's like they want the story of the artist in order to sell. And if you're a conservative or have conservative values or principles, then they're not interested in selling or attempting to sell your work, right?
yes,
And I think
yes,
that actually, I think this is kind of the line that that crosses through uh all of the cultural arts, right?
yes,
So
yes,
if you're a studio musician and you're a conservative, then you need to stay quiet.
yeah,
Actors, I mean, we've seen Roseanne Barr get killed off of her own show for being a conservative. And I mean, I
yeah,
know we're talking about top tier examples, but it's all the way from the top most famous people all the way down to the everyday the whatever the artists, the writers, anybody. There is a
yeah,
certain set of ideals and ideology that somebody in the cultural arts must hold, or else, or
yeah,
else.
exactly. And a perfect example of that is like with the recent movie um, that Jim Caviezel was in. And
Right.
if it can happen to somebody who, and Jim Caviezel, he's worked with some of the biggest name actors that are in Hollywood. And if that can happen to somebody like him, if it can happen to somebody like you were mentioning musicians,
Roseanne, yeah. Oh
you were
yeah,
mentioning
musicians, yeah.
like Kid Rock and other musicians like that, Ted Nugent,
Mm-hmm.
would any of the big name recording studios ever work with like Ted Nugent or somebody
Well,
like that? And
and
it's
even more than that, Ted Nugent already has a following, so he has that, and Kid Rock as well. They already have made it, so that gives them. But if if they were just starting out expressing
yeah,
those views, not a chance they would ever get an album on the shelves, ever.
exactly.
Yeah,
And like right now, even though here in Charleston right now, Emily is one of the featured artists in Charleston Style and Designs magazine's
that's right.
summer issue. They did a whole layout on about her, and that carries things like that don't carry a lot of weight with as many gallery owners. It does with
Should it,
people. People see it and they look and they read the article, and they when you go into these galleries and such for like an artist, they'll tell you all about the artist,
mm-hmm.
but they can't tell you anything about the piece that you're looking at.
Right. I've seen a
And
lot of that.
Emily is she doesn't really want to care about them knowing about her as much as they do about what she's trying to show in her work.
Mm-hmm.
And and it could be any number of things from just a standpoint or a viewpoint that she is bringing forward, or even something to that she wants to show to send a message. I'll give you a perfect example here. Let me show you one more piece here,
Okay.
and I think you may have.
And where can all of these, because all of these are for sale, and
Yes,
where can they be purchased? But while
EmilyWhitingFineArt.com.
say that one more time, I interrupted you.
EmilyWhitingFineArt.com.
All right, and we're
All of
putting
them.
that right here below so that
Okay.
everybody can see, and we'll link that uh on all of our platforms where we release this video. Emily Whiting, fineart.com.
Correct. Yes. Now, you take like this piece here. Let me get it in the camera here.
Ooh.
And this one here, you see that there is a letter being written out with
Mhm.
a quill pen. And if you read the lettering on there, that it reads it has come to a regrettable, and then it stops, and
Mm,
then you see a black widow spider has come down, and the person has tried to put down his quill pen and back away, but the inkwell spilled, and then you see in the shadow
is a
of the
cross.
quill pen that
Is a cross.
is a sword.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, now that it's a
Yeah,
sword. Oh,
yeah. You see, and so she titles this "Be Careful." You see, because as with anything, our words mean things, and
mm,
your your words can lead to an act of war, or it can lead to the consequences of those words, and that so you
yes.
have in everything you have to be careful of what you say and what you do, and it very often it's those words that have led all the way up to people going to war with each other over them.
I mean,
And
what this does, what this says, Troy. I think that
Johnny,
I'm sorry. I keep. All right, hold on. Take three, two, one. What this says to me, Johnny, is so much effort, time, energy, and thought goes into her work. But it's not only her, and that is kind of the that's that's why these things are necessary, because
yeah,
you said it earlier, conservatives, people with conservative values, people with American values have consistently been at the forefront of art, culture for hundreds of years, ever
yes,
since almost ever since we were founded. And
mhm,
and what we're seeing now is, well, it's very similar to Soviet era uh art, and Mao Zedong's Great Society era art, where you you kind of, whatever's being put out there for the the high end art, it always has to have some state sponsored message, whether it's
mhm,
green energy or the patriarchy is evil, or
yes,
whatever the leftist ideology of the day, you know that they decide to put into that art might be. And that in turn, just like it did in the Soviet Union, just like it did in Mao Zedong's Great Society, and to even today's Chinese Communist Party, like it does in North Korea today.
yes,
Uh, it it stifles creation,
mhm,
and it forces an ideology to be ever present in the creation of the cultural arts. And what you're doing with this guild is attempting to fight back against that in some small way. And what I want to make sure uh to that people know is, I want all of the artists out there who fear being canceled for expressing their true views or values. I want all of the writers, all of the musicians to know where to go to help you and your wife and the people involved in this uh make this a success. You have
yeah,
a Facebook page or group.
yes. Right now we have a Facebook group
Okay.
that we're just starting out, and I'm talking with some people that to see about helping getting a website put together.
Right.
And our vision for this is starting out with the Facebook group, and then moving to a website. And I would like to see us working on having a website where members can come in, and there can be um, rooms within the website where people
Okay.
can chat, exchange messages, they can show their work, they can upload videos, they can upload images, they can also talk about different places where, like, if a musician finds himself, he has a venue at in some town, he can put it up on the website and say, hey, we're having a concert at this place at this address on this date. Come get tickets, and tickets go on sale this day. If
And
an
everybody
artist,
can support them.
exactly.
Yeah.
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 And it'd be an area for collaboration. And
Yep.
this is already happening on there where say like a writer uh, writes a book and then he wants to get a graphic designer to design a book cover for him. He can
Okay.
go to the artists in there and say, "Hey, I'm looking for a graphic artist. I'm writing a book. This is what it's about, and I need some cover art for it." Or likewise, a musician can do that. Um, Artists can collaborate on projects together.
Hmm.
Um, and this is already happening. Just not long ago, I was talking with somebody who's in the group, and my daughter is also a budding writer. And one of the things that we're trying to find is a publisher that isn't going to want to try to put some other kind of message in there, some kind of environmental message or what have you.
Hmm.
And so we talked about the book publishing company that he's going through, and he told me the ins and outs of what they do and how they operate. And so that right there is exactly what this organization is for. And
So tell us the
so
Facebook page. What so tell us
it's
what the Facebook group name is.
it's you can just go into Facebook and you can just type in the search Conservative Cultural Arts Guild, and it'll bring it up.
Okay.
And and primarily this is primarily for people who are working in the cultural arts.
Right.
So when you come on there, it's going to ask you questions about what kind of what branch of the cultural arts do you operate in, what and a few questions,
Hmm.
so that basically they're questions that will show that you are somebody who is a conservative cultural artist.
Okay.
And again, this is for musicians, artists, writers, actors, and anybody who is also within that field.
Right.
So even if you are somebody who is a stage designer, or if you are somebody who is like I said, a gallery owner,
Hmm.
or you have a publishing company, or anything like that. And this will be something so that it's everybody in those fields. This is a professional organization, but I will also state we are not a political organization. We are not a political action committee or anything like that.
Hmm.
We are also um, we're not a union.
Okay.
So like actors have the
SAG.
Screen Actors Guild,
Yeah.
and that's a union that they have to be a part of. And of course, unions are based in a socialist uh,
Ideology. Yes.
ideology. So this is not anything like that. This is a professional networking organization, and
So the
that's
whole goal here is to help people with American or what they call today conservative, but what really just means normal, decent values, decent
yeah,
American pro individual liberty values. Anybody who works in the arts and believes in these things can become a part of this guild at no risk to themselves. And the whole
yeah,
purpose is, and correct me if I'm wrong, uh, to grant these makers of culture
mhm,
uh, a safe place to make to create their work, to advertise their work, to sell their work, and to collaborate with others with the same intentions.
yeah,
And so with that being said, the mid to the short to midterm sorry the short to midterm goal here might be to have uh for your guild to hold fairs of the arts and crafts in various cities, maybe starting in like Somerville or in Charleston or Beaufort, and uh so would that be a goal that you guys have? You want to
Absolutely.
you want us as conservatives and pro America individuals to support the work of people who share our values.
Yes, and I envision this organization being one that will grow to the point where you will see CCAG sponsored events across the United States, concerts, um, art shows, plays.
Mm.
Writers would be able to have book signings and things like that.
CCAG
And
gallery, CCAG
yes,
art gallery,
yeah, you could
presenting
have a
all their work.
somebody who has a who owns a gallery can sponsor, put up sections in his gallery saying, this is a CCAG sponsored
Mm-hmm.
artist. You can and even have we could even grow to be we would have award ceremonies like this the SAG does,
Right.
where we
Yeah,
can,
eventually,
yeah,
potentially.
this is something that I envision it growing to be.
Yeah.
And because it's so needed, that the cultural arts throughout
Yes.
history has driven so much change for the better. um, the
And sometimes the worst. That's the thing. It drives
yeah,
change,
yeah.
period.
Oh, yes, yes. You
Yeah,
know, Jordan Peterson does a great video where he talks about I don't know if you know this, but Jordan Peterson is a big collector
I do
of
know that.
early Soviet graphic propaganda art,
Mhm.
and he loves the stuff. And he talks about how these these particular propaganda pieces that were put out that were state sponsored communist artwork
Mhm.
was actually a great driver in pushing forward that change towards communism over there. Well,
Absolutely.
this is something that artists can also do in a conservative bent. I mean, where would the United States be if we didn't have a writer like that wrote Common Sense, Thomas Paine?
Yes.
And
Well, and
we
even beyond that, I mean, if you look at in the late 30s and early 40s, you the American made art, the the pinup girls that
mhm,
were all American. And then the all of the art that was put out by pro American artists that were trying to uh encourage young men to join the fight against national socialism and socialism as a whole. And the art that was put out, I mean, it's still famous to this day. The woman, in the
Rosie the Riveter.
jumpsuit, yeah, exactly. Those types of art, especially
Wait,
visual art, but art has such an important place in society, in culture. I mean, we define ancient societies by the art that they created. We
yes.
define them that way. So it's
I grew up watching the Bugs Bunny and cartoons and such, and the Disney cartoons
mhm,
that were from the World War II era. And you learn about things from history from these arts as well.
you do,
Um, and I have another example, if I may.
of
Um,
course.
there, there's another piece that Emily did here, and I don't know how well you can
Okay,
see that
I can
there.
see it. There's a bulb, and
It's
then
act,
the what's the
this
type
is
of flower?
actually this is a tulip,
Okay, so this is
and
about
then you see,
the hyperinflation of the tulip.
yes,
Yes.
this is
Okay.
she
Oh,
calls this
that's
piece the mania of the tulip, and you see that the price of it suddenly shot up. It reached a peak and then quickly dropped. And
so. I
people,
want to
this
tell my
was
listeners real quick, like just the basics from memory. The the tulip the tulip craze in the Netherlands, if I remember correctly, it there was it it, it it's still used today in economics classes as the definitive first example of an economic bubble. And what happened here was uh people found the tulip, and there was a craze in parts of Europe over this, especially with the wealthy. And so they would all be planting different tulips, and uh the most insane colors and different aspects of the tulip became super desirable. And at a certain point, this came to the point where people were paying hundreds of $1,000s for a single bulb for a tulip.
Yes.
And
Yep.
suddenly people just kind of said, okay, that's we're not interested anymore. And when that happened, I mean, people were investing millions upon millions of dollars in these tulip bulbs, and then suddenly nobody cared anymore, and it just collapsed. And that happened when some new technology about cloning came into practice. And it's still to this day used as the perfect example of an economic bubble. That
Yeah.
is, I am so excited. After this, I need to talk to you uh about that piece after this
Okay.
interview, because I want that. I want that. Okay. So anyway, continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, so just like what you were saying, this is a something that people can learn from,
Yes.
and the like the French Revolution, it was known to have really had its spark in a stage play called The Marriage of Figaro,
Yeah,
and
yes, you told me
and
about this.
it
Explain that.
the story was about a young guy who was working to try to get married, but he and his wife were servants to nobility, and the nobility was doing things to try to get things to get his marriage interrupted, so that these servants would still continue serving them. And so it sparked this realization among the people that they need to be able to live their lives without this authoritarian state telling them what they can and cannot do.
Okay.
And believe it or not, the French Revolution started out as a very libertarian movement. Thomas Jefferson was just all excited over the French Revolution
He
because
certainly
he
was.
saw that as being a domino effect that would go across the world.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, socialists came in and took over the French Revolution, and you had
Created new
people.
religions.
Yes,
Yes.
actually, the French Revolution turned very much against religions.
Well,
As
yes, they created, and this is a
originally,
conversation for another day, but they created the Baba, the cult of Baba, and it got really wild. The sex cult,
yeah,
basically.
yeah. And so it served to these cultural aspects started. They served to inspire people, good or bad. They inspired people.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had mentioned earlier, the writings of Tom Paine inspired people
Yes.
in such a way that uh, you really couldn't stop. There were religious movements that started because of paintings
Yeah.
that
You're
artists did, and we as people need to realize that we, of all the living creatures on the planet, have the ability to take imagery that we see and create over it.
Yes. And
And
and I think that what we're at here is a discussion about how important the cultural arts are in influencing culture. And if we, as pro American conservatives, hope, ever hope to win this culture war, and that's not me coining that phrase. That is a phrase that is used by name name a conservative, right? But if we ever intend to win this culture war, then we must, it is an absolute non-negotiable must that we support those in the cultural arts who are supporting our culture. Would
Yeah,
you say that I'm right in saying that?
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. You
Eh,
know, and the thing about it is that people need to realize that, and I've heard this numerous times, is that from conservatives saying, "Oh, there's no conservatives in these cultural arts," and I can give you a perfect example right here in music. You know, you got country music fans from guys like Kid Rock and such. You have rock musicians like Ted Nugent, and
mhm.
even rappers like Tom McDonald.
And Ice Cube now.
And yeah, and so
Yeah.
in every aspect of the cultural arts and every different vein within each of those areas of the
Mhm.
cultural arts, you are going to find conservatives. And again, as we had said before, so many of them just have to keep their mouths closed to be able to do the work they want to do.
And in order for
And
them to
not be
take
that way.
center stage, we must support them and support groups like your guild. And I can promise you that the Overton Report and the Overton Group, we are going to do everything that we can to help it, because I do not that there is no I cannot overestimate the importance of the cultural arts in guiding culture where it goes. And there is no thought leader in any nation, especially when you look at tyrannical socialist communist nations like China, North Korea, the USSR previously, any nation that has had absolute tyrannical control, the first thing they do is wipe out the cultural artists, because or
And
offer
bring in
them.
their own.
That's exactly right. And it's because those people know the importance of it
Mhm.
and the danger to their own power that it can provide. And
Yeah.
I know that you and I, look, you do a lot of work for the conservative movement, and I've seen it, and we've had a lot of good discussions, and I want to bring you back on in the near future for us to have some more politically philosophical discussions
Mhm.
about these types of things. But as for now, give me I don't want this necessarily to go on into a billion different subjects, because I know that you and I we could literally talk all day, all night, and into the wee hours of tomorrow about this entire subject. There's so much to it, but it's so important that people stop buying their art from home goods, or even from art
Yes.
galleries from that are run by liberal ideologues. You can
Yes.
buy high quality art, you can get it, it's an investment. We you get a certificate of authenticity when it comes to your wife and her work. We've got it. I'm going to show it again. And I want to just first off uh describe what this piece of art is that we purchased from you. This is
Oh
the
yeah.
the phoenix, as it's a candle burning, and it's a phoenix. And there's a bunch of there's some American currency.
The candle itself, you
Yeah.
see, is a rolled up $100 bill,
Yes.
and the phoenix, although burning, it can't detach from that $100 bill, and because if it detaches from that $100 bill, the flame dies.
Right.
That's the reality of it. The phoenix from mythology came out as a flame, and went up to the sky, to the sun. But this cannot. That's the reason why the phoenix is still attached to the candle. And if you notice below the candle holder, there's other currencies that have
Fiat
been
currency.
burned up and fallen.
And the
And
phoenix represents digital currency, correct?
correct, yes, it represents that digital currency that's still
Can't
attached
separate from the fiat.
to that fiat currency.
Mm-hmm.
And regardless of what anybody says, digital currency is attached to a fiat currency because that's how it's exchanged. And but yet, as the candle burns down and finally burns away till there's nothing left to burn, what's left is the candle holder. What's the candle holder made out of? It's made out of gold, which will always be there.
Precious
There you go.
metals. It's made out of precious metals, my friends. That's
Yes.
the only thing that's real. Yeah. And I am very happy that I was able to get that piece of art. And we're gonna show it again right here as a graphic. I'm gonna take the best picture I can of it. But guys, definitely check out uh the Facebook group and go to the website of Mrs. Whiting. She is and we're gonna put all that down. And I want to say that the Conservative Guild for the cultural arts is probably, if it gets the support that it deserves, it's probably going to be one of the most important cultural developments in America at this point in time, that of any. It's going to be in the top 3. This is very, very important. It's very important because there's no doubt that art, plays, uh, music has such an impact. We talk about it all the time, the negative impact that various hip hop artists or various movies or hey, how about books being tossed out of school libraries because of their inappropriate nature? Like, there is no doubt that the cultural arts have an impact that is almost, you almost cannot put it into words. And what you're doing here, Johnny, what you guys are doing here is more important than I can even put into words. And we are here for you and with you, and anything we can do to help, please,
Yep.
please let us, do not hesitate to let us know. So
And
to sign
big thing
off,
we need
yeah, go
the big
ahead.
thing we need is we need to find people who are in the cultural arts to come and if they have a face, if they are on Facebook, join up with us on the Facebook group. And
Mm-hmm.
like I said, as soon as we get a website put up, we're going to get that up, and we will start moving people into the Facebook group as well.
Right.
And but what we need is the people. If you know of anybody who is an artist, a musician, a writer, an actor, and they're conservative, tell them about this organization. And as we continue to grow, that's how we get moving, is by having people within our organization.
Absolutely. And so one more time for the people, tell us the Facebook group,
Yep.
and tell us the name of the organization.
The name of the organization is the Conservative Cultural Arts Guild.
And the
And we have
Facebook group is,
the Conservative Cultural Arts Guild.
and we'll put that link right up here.
Yes.
And one
And
more time, please tell us your wife's art gallery, your wife's website.
it's Emily Whiting fineart.com. And that's EMILYWHITING fineart.com. All one word.
Man, it's been an honor to speak with you, and I see something big for this in the future, and I am looking so forward to doing anything that I can. And I know it might not be a lot, but any small part I can play in helping this succeed, because I believe that this is absolutely necessary for us to, I don't know, save the culture, right?
Yeah, we want to show that conservatives can and do impact the culture, and the biggest ways that we can do it is through the cultural arts.
Thank you, John. I really appreciate you joining us and taking the time to have this discussion. I want to talk to you about some more things in the future, but for now, we got to leave it here because nobody wants to watch 14 hours of us talking about
Yeah,
talking about the
yeah.
you know what I'm saying.
Because
So anyway,
I've got a face for radio, so you know that
no,
nobody
dude,
wants to see
I'll tell
that.
you what.